I wasn't expecting much when my son called that afternoon. We hadn't spoken properly in weeks, and I figured it'd be another short stiffing. But I picked up anyway, hoping maybe, just maybe things were turning a corner. Instead, I got hit with that word. Dead weight, he said, when I asked if he needed help setting up the new place he just bought. I've got it handled. I don't need any. Dead weight slowing me down, he added almost casually.
I froze.
My heart didn't shatter, not exactly, it sank.
Heavy.
Quiet.
Familiar.
It wasn't the first time my son had made me feel like I was just extra. Like I was some old relic that didn't fit in his sleek new life. I stood there in the kitchen, the afternoon light hitting the countertop just right, and stared at my phone for a long while after the call ended. The silence in the house suddenly felt louder. Colder. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening in the comments. I looked over at the framed photo near the coffee pot, me, my wife, and our son at his college graduation. We looked like a family then. We were. But now all I could hear was that word, deadweight, and something inside me, something buried in quiet, started to stir. When Frank was born, I was still working 60-hour weeks at the mill. My wife, Marie, stayed home those early years, and we did everything we could to give him a good life. Christmas mornings, Little League, summer barbecues, all of it. He was a smart, quiet kid. Sensitive. He'd sit on my lap while I read the Sunday paper, pretending to read along. I thought we had a bond, a strong one. I thought he understood how much I was sacrificing. We never had much, but when Marie got sick, we drained what little savings we had to keep the house and her treatments going. Frank was just finishing college then. I never once asked him for help. That was never the deal. Parents give. Kids build their own lives. That's how I saw it. After Marie passed, things started shifting. Subtle at first, missed phone calls, shorter visits, a coldness in his tone. Then he got married, and I saw less of him. His wife, Olivia, was polite, but distant. I always felt like I was intruding in my own son's life. I chalked it up to them being busy, finding their footing. But deep down, I could feel it, the space growing wider. 2 years ago, he asked me to help with the down payment on their new house. I didn't hesitate. Sold my truck, cashed an old bond Marie and I had kept for emergencies. I told him it was a gift, a fresh start. He hugged me tight, said, "You'll always have a place with us, Dad." Now I'm apparently dead weight, and I can't help but wonder, when did I become a burden to the very person I built my life around? It happened during a quiet Sunday dinner. They had invited me over, and for a moment I thought things were finally smoothing out. Olivia had made her usual dry chicken, and Frank was unusually chatty, talking about his promotion, their upcoming vacation to the Keys, even showing off the new espresso machine like a proud kid. Then came the shift. Frank brought up the will. Not my will, Marie's. "You know, Mom left behind more than we expected," he said, cutting his steak like he wasn't about to slice into my heart. "The lawyer says we'll need to figure out how to split it cleanly." I paused. "What do you mean, we? That money's not even. Why are we talking about this now?" He didn't look at me when he answered. "I mean, let's be real, Dad. You're retired. You live alone. You don't really need much anymore. Olivia and I, we've got a mortgage, 2 cars, and we're trying for a baby." Then he said it, plain, cold, like it wasn't even cruel. "You're just dead weight now, Dad. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." My fork slipped from my hand. Olivia didn't flinch. She just kept eating like this was normal conversation. I excused myself and walked out onto the porch. The night was quiet, but my mind was roaring. My son, my only child, saw me as a liability, a number on a page, an obstacle to his comfort. He didn't follow me outside. That silence, it said more than any apology ever could. I drove home that night, replaying it all in my head. Every scraped knee I bandaged. Every time I said no to myself so he could have one more gift under the tree. Every time I lied to Marie and said, "He's just busy, honey. He still loves us." Now here I was. Dead weight. It hurt worse than losing Marie. Because grief is clean.
It's honest.
This was betrayal. The next morning, I brewed a cup of coffee in the chip mug Marie gave me one Father's Day, the one that says, Akra One Dad. I stared at it for a long time. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. But something in me broke quietly, and that kind of break doesn't heal the same. I went to the drawer where I kept all the documents Marie and I had stored over the years. Bank records. The deed. Her will. Frank clearly didn't know the full story. He assumed everything she had automatically passed on to him. But what he never realized, what I never told him, was that after her diagnosis, we had quietly transferred most of our shared assets into my name. Not out of distrust.
Just
Preparation. Marie trusted me to protect what we built, not to hand it over to someone who saw me as a burden. I sat down with a pen and paper and made a list. My bills were modest. I didn't need much. I had enough to live comfortably. But more importantly, I had enough to make sure I didn't leave behind any easy scraps for someone who saw me as a stepping stone. I called my lawyer that afternoon. Harold, I said, I want to update everything. The will, the estate, all of it. He didn't ask why. He just said, understood. I didn't write Frank out of my life, but I did write him out of my future. Instead, I began researching something Marie and I had once dreamed about, but never acted on: creating a scholarship fund for blue-collar kids, for kids whose parents worked double shifts so they could have a chance. Marie would have liked that. I smiled. First time in days. This wasn't revenge.
not really.
It was closure, quiet, clean, final. 3 weeks later, I invited Frank over for lunch. Just him, no Olivia. He hesitated, of course. Said he was busy. I said, it's just lunch. Won't take long. He showed up wearing a forced smile and that same arrogant distance he'd grown into. I made sandwiches. Turkey on rye. His favorite. He barely touched his plate. Finally, I slid a small envelope across the table. What's this? He asked. My final gift to you, I said. He opened it slowly. Inside was a copy of my updated will with a single line underlined. All assets and holdings are to be transferred to the Hayes Community Trades Scholarship Fund upon my passing. He blinked. Wait, what is this? I figured if I'm such dead weight, I said calmly, you wouldn't want to carry the load. He didn't speak. Just stared, processing. No inheritance, I continued. No house, no savings. But a lot of kids will get a chance at the life you forgot was handed to you. Frank opened his mouth, but no words came out. I stood up and poured myself another cup of coffee. You can finish your sandwich or go. Either way, I've said what I needed. He left without saying goodbye. That night, I sat out on the porch with Marie's mug in hand, the wind rustling through the trees. Some would say I was harsh, but I didn't burn the bridge. He did. I just chose not to rebuild it for someone who'd walk all over it again. Sometimes love means giving, and sometimes it means letting go, with grace and a signature. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left.
Thank you for watching.